Continue with our coverage of International Nurses Day, and I'm joined now by Lerato Mthunzi, the president of Young Nurses Indaba Trade Union. A very good afternoon to you, Ms. Mthunzi, and dare I say, Happy Nurses Day or Happy International Nurses Day. What made you decide to become a nurse?
Good day, Tammy, and to all the newsroom viewers. What made me personally to become a nurse was actually I was dragged, kicking and screaming into the profession. So it was a profession that chose me through my mom. So my mom said, "You're going to be a nurse. That's a good job. That's what you have to be." And initially it was never love at first sight. But guess what? I'm here and I'm a brilliant nurse.
Oh, well, good for you. And what do you love about your profession?
Look, I think there is no way that you can come into contact with human beings at their most vulnerable and not want to lend a helping hand. It's one of those jobs that when you go back, you always want to pat yourself in the shoulder and say, "Wow, I did it." I think you go through just one of the things I love during my times of really practicing initially was midwifery, where you see two people depending on you for, with dear life, bringing a child into this world is the most phenomenal thing. And also being given opportunity to resuscitate a person that we could have said 2 minutes ago would be dead. It's absolutely phenomenal. So yes, you go back and you say, wow, indeed, these are gifted hands.
Now, you've been in the profession for around 14 years or so. During that time, have you ever lost a patient?
I've been a nurse for the past 20 years, so this year I'm celebrating my 20 years as a nurse. And yes, of course, it's all in a day's work. You go to work, but because the system, especially when you serve in public service, you are going to meet everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it happens in the 12 hours of your shift. You can't escape. But yes, you will lose some patients that you feel I could have saved if I had more defibrillators, if I had more hands on deck, if I had more resources, material and human as well. But look, the challenges in healthcare is a plethora of them, and yeah, you do from time to time, and it's quite, you don't get used to it.
And how do you get over that? How do you deal with actually losing a patient?
You see, just as a trade union first, we've dubbed this year of caring for the carer, because religiously you just need to learn to get over it. There isn't processes, rather there isn't adequate support on the ground. You would be walking into a facility and you want the most bubbly, the most loving nurse, and little do you know that I've just come out of a failed resuscitation. So how do we get over it? Over a period of time, you actually, I don't know, I don't even know how to say how are my colleagues getting over it. We just get over it. We just really get over it.
I wonder, Lerato, as you're speaking, if there are instances when nurses actually just don't get over it, when you bottle the pain, you bottle the conflict up inside of you. And I say this because we've had instances of people complaining about really shoddy, bordering on cruel treatment that gets meted out to them from nurses. Talk to us about this dynamic.
Look, I normally compare that to a syndrome where a woman is married to a very abusive husband and becomes extremely abusive to the children. She never takes the war to the husband, who is a drunkard, who doesn't provide, but ends up being, it's a mechanism of displacing responsibility, of confronting what you fear the most, but you'd rather find the patient. So in this instance, it's such a bad thing, and that's why the union, Young Nurses Indaba, is adamant to say, look, our war, the people that are making us look bad in front of our patients, in front of the communities we serve, it is the government that we have voted. It is the employer that has employed us, and that is where the war must be waged, and never at any material time be, given to the patients. We really are speaking very sternly on desisting on ill-treating our people. But we are not oblivious to the fact that we know that our colleagues are burned out. Our colleagues, most of them are on antidepressants. Some of them are just, they end up being so, they can't cope without, being put on various medications to deal with the anxiety, the depression, and so forth. A lot of mental issues that we really deal with. That's why the cry for help, when people say, hey, nurses are rude, nurses are uncaring, sometimes you're like, it's just that you've not walked a mile in their shoes. And that's not an excuse that we are saying people must misbehave and so forth. But the reality of the matter is that we are nursed by nurses who are themselves very ill and are crying for help because we are simply not getting it from where we are supposed to get it.
One of the overarching themes for this year's International Nursing Day or Nurses Day is a vision for future healthcare. What is your vision for future healthcare? What needs to change in order to get to the healthcare of tomorrow?
We cannot say this enough. The current healthcare system is disorganized. It doesn't have processes. It doesn't have systems. And it's a breeding ground for corruption and routine. Now, if we can deal with that, we would be able to move to what we envisage in the future, which is an organized healthcare system that is able to service our people and give them not just service, a quality healthcare system. I think NHI, when you read the document, almost tells you where we envisage to go. But we cannot go there without, obviously, fixing infrastructure and making sure that management of these facilities, and from the pinnacle, not facilities only at even provincial and even at national level, there is synergy. The currently lack of thought leadership, disorganized system to the core, because we can't make it organized because we need to be looting it, and that is the problem. Fundamentally, we are plagued by a system that is a free-for-all.
You are president of the Young Nurses Indaba trade union, and when I saw this, I was wondering, why was there a need to form a Young Nurses Union? Why can it not just be nurses? Is there some sort of a generational chasm that exists in the nursing fraternity?
Look, I like that question very much, because the young in Wainetu or in Young Nurses Indaba, it's got absolutely nothing to do with age. Every nurse that is in the system up to the age of 65 that has not gone to pension is literally a bouncing, very young nurse. So it's not intended to exclude any nurse that is currently practicing, formally or informally, private or government. It's very much inclusive, but it's actually saying we are coming with a mind shift, a different way of looking at things, and we are moving this nursing to be less colonized and to be less segregating. It's a female-dominated profession, and there's a lot of I mean, in normal circumstances, nurses would not even be taking this platform of media expressing themselves in the past years. And we are saying, let's have a difficult dialogue. We have a voice. We must be heard. And some of the stereotypes and the indoctrinations in the profession must really be kicked to the curb. So to be honest, it's all inclusive. But the main reason why Wainetu was formed was really not to be even worried about young or old. It was really to say, the healthcare system and nurses have got no militant and radical enough trade unions that are fighting and advancing the plight of nurses at the shop floor. Most of them, the concern is really just to be politically aligned.
Oh, it looks like we're losing you there towards the end. Our apologies for that break in communication and a break-in signal. But that was Lerato Mthunzi. She's the president of the Young Nurses Indaba Trade Union. On this day, as we mark International Nurses Day, and when we return, we'll continue with our coverage on this day. We also have our reporter Zikona Chona, who is on standby, and she'll be talking to some of the nurses on the ground. Also coming up, the Center for Early Childhood Development plans to hold a 3-day nationwide protest. The director of the center will tell us why they are not happy at the moment. Stay with us.